Julia Lo Bue-Said is with me now, Chief Executive of the Advantage Travel Partnership, a consortium of more than 600 independent travel agents. Hi, Julia.
Good morning, Sean.
How are you feeling after this weekend?
Well, I tell you what, your headlines sum it up really, don't they? And actually, as you were reading them out, I was getting more and more, my palpitations, I could feel them going and getting more anxious.
Sorry.
Yeah, it's been 12 months of being a very difficult time for the travel industry. And I think the weekend has really compounded that, to be completely honest. Feeling very frustrated. I think if you speak to anybody in the travel industry, they would be telling you they're feeling the same. Really, the frustration really stems from we are 3 weeks away from, as you mentioned, the report that the government are to publish, which is being led by the Global Travel Task Force under Grant Shapps Department, the DFT. We're waiting for that report. There are lots of industry players and individuals that have feeding into that report, as well as scientists and different experts. So the need to come out with something during a time when emotions are so heightened right across the UK, why is that necessary? I really don't understand. So I think the comments that Dr. Tilsley came out with, I think they started on Saturday or Friday, feels like actually Dr. Tilsley should be responding to the government, should be feeding into the Global Task Force. To come out with such speculative comments now when there is a lot of, Villa said it, you've said it, there's a lot of uncertainty. We don't know. And in all fairness, Grant Shapps has said all along, we don't know what it's going to look like, hence why we're waiting for the 12th of April. So, feeling extremely, extremely sad, actually, that the need to come out with such premature comments and not being cognizant of the impact it has not only on businesses but also on people that, one, want to travel because it's not just holidays, it's also we travel to visit friends and family and for businesses.
Do you see a difference, Julia? When you see those headlines that many of us were sort of waking up to, checking in on our apps on Saturday at some point, and you see the headlines of extremely unlikely in the summer, do you then see different volumes heading to your websites or different queries coming in?
Yeah, absolutely. And the interesting thing on the reverse is we definitely see positive sentiment gives confidence, positive sentiment. We can then see that in the booking patterns. We see the trajectory, what that looks like. And similarly, I know this morning my members will be waking up to an absolute barrage of customers who are now read the headlines and thinking, well, I've got trips booked. I was going to visit, family in wherever, and I've got holidays booked. Can I now travel? And actually, nobody knows right now. I think the other really important point, Sean, is that we all know, and it's been very clear, and government have been very clear, that as and when we can travel, and 17th of May is the absolute earliest from which we can travel, potentially. We all know there's going to be restrictions. That's very clear. And actually, I don't think any of us expect, come the 17th of May, that restrictions will be released, and actually we can all travel as normal. I mean, that's just not in anyone's expectation. So why not focus on what the barriers need to come down? Why not focus on solutions as opposed to more fear mongering, more comments, kind of raising anxiety? That's what I would like to understand. Why can we not focus on what the solutions need to be?
And there's a couple of sides to this. In the last week or so, we've heard from a lot of people in the UK tourism industry. We're chatting to a few businesses on Wake Up to Money last week about the reliance on that. Interestingly, James in Stockport's been in touch saying the cost of UK holidays, disgrace. Hotels charging £600 a night in the Lake District in May half term. How can they justify this? Can't wait to go abroad, he says. Well, there's the flip side of it. What about, say, the view from Spain, for example, where some towns there heavily dependent on tourists from Britain? Ashley Price is from Walsall, now owns the Corner Bar in Benidorm. Wake Up to Money's James Graham caught up with him last night. We didn't send James to Benidorm, unfortunately for James. He was in a studio in Salford. But he started by asking what people make of tourists returning, possibly contributing to higher COVID rates.
Do we want the numbers to go back up? No. But at the same time, there is, in this town alone, tens of thousands of people out of work. But at some point, tourism needs to restart. And I think the safest way we can do it is the best, if it means testing, quarantine, vaccines, whatever it takes. But we have to get the world moving again.
For you, how essential is it to get those tourists from Britain specifically back to Benidorm?
Yeah, obviously it's essential, not just for us British bars, for the hotels that surround our bar, for everything. This place specifically relies on tourism, and so does many other parts of Spain, and of course other parts on Europe, and in particular British travel as well. Because last year 18 million Brits came into this place. Well, the year before last, sorry, 2019, and since then, since the coronavirus has come, every day, all we see is more businesses closing.
And are you closely following the decisions in the UK and the roadmap, all of that?
Yeah, of course. Actually, what happens in the UK is more important to us business-wise than what happens here in Spain. I mean, we're very fortunate now. Our businesses are open. We can sort of go about our daily lives. There's still a lot of restrictions in place. We have to close at 6 o'clock. They're encouraging people to eat and drink outside as much as possible and so on. We could open, you could open everything up, but without the tourism, it just does not work.
I mean, Julia, on the sort of the flip side to the UK economy that we've spoken about so much, are you hearing that those kind of businesses reliant on the UK tourism industry but abroad are struggling? Are they going under? Are they able to keep their head down and be still there when we need them to be?
Let's hope so. I think I think I can't comment on each individual business, but when you've not traded for 12 months in your source market and all your markets are cut off, then it becomes exceptionally difficult to keep your business afloat. I think if you look at Spain, if you look at some of the countries where the UK is a source market, and actually we've seen over the last couple of weeks, we've seen a number of destinations wanting to welcome Brits. What we need to understand is that's great and that's brilliant to hear. How do we ensure that travellers from the UK are kept safe? What are their protocols locally? What are their testing regimes? And what are the requirements so that we can feel confident in resuming travel when the time is right?
Well, Julia, thanks for being with us this morning. Not an easy weekend for those in the travel industry. Greg in Plymouth's been in touch saying, how good is your guest on travel? This speculative fear-mongering is hurting people. Pseudo-government spokespeople should present facts, very much feeling the same views, Julia, that you've represented here this morning. So we'll speak to you again soon and see how this goes, perhaps as we get nearer that date for the review, April the 12th. I know it's a big date for people hanging out in pub gardens, but a huge date for the travel industry. Julia Lo Bue-Said, who's Chief Executive of the Advantage Travel Partnership, which is